I just got a $10,000 refund after dealing with a month of complete bullshit that could have been avoided with the right questions up front. This isn't about dragging anyone through the mud. That is completely out of integrity. But this is about sharing what I learned so you don't make the same expensive mistake I did. So if you're an agency owner making 5 to 50K a month, looking to scale to 100K a month, these decision-making questions will be fucking game changers for your business investments. The same as anybody that's looking to make 100K a month, really. But yes, I will show you exactly how I handle my own self-sabotage through this process. That voice in my head saying, you made this decision, just stick with it, even when you know deep down that something's not right. So for those who don't know me, I'm Luke Anning. I help entrepreneurs stop self-sabotaging so they can scale from 5 to 50K a month to 100K a month. Now, I've been coaching for 4 years and was a former growth partner at a 7-figure company and a host of the Top 2% podcast with multiple people that have done 100K a month. Now, a few months back, or I would say about 6 weeks back, actually now, I invested 10K for a 25K deal in what was promised as a high-touch, done-for-you service. I was told I'd get weekly one-to-one calls, a custom system, some ongoing support, some other little bits and pieces, but I'm not here to drag people's names throughout the water. I went in fully committed to building something powerful with their team. I wasn't expecting perfectionism. I just wanted transparency, communication, and a structure I could trust. But almost immediately, things started falling apart. Communication was spotty, deadlines were being missed, promises weren't kept, and that self-sabotaging voice in my head kept saying, you made this decision, just deal with it. Now, many entrepreneurs stay in bad investments way too long because they're too embarrassed to admit they made a mistake. I nearly did the same thing. And I'm not naming names, I'm not here to do that, but there are lessons here that could save you thousands and months of wasted time. And I wish someone had told me these things before I wrote the check. And I don't just scroll through this. It's going to be key that you go back, you go down and you go and check this out. So if you're not subscribed already, make sure to go and do that. So let me get straight into it. Here are 10 questions I wish I'd asked before investing that 10K of what was a 25K deal. Now, these questions would have saved me time, money, and a lot of frustration. And these apply to any business investment I would say you're considering, whether it's hiring a coach, working with an agency, bringing on team members, or even investing in software. And for each question, I'm going to share a story either from my experience or from clients I've worked with. I want you to walk away really with some practicality here, some wisdom that you can actually apply immediately based on my mistakes. So, because here's the thing, when you invest in your business, you deserve to get what you pay for. Of course, you also need to show the fuck up, but you deserve clarity, you deserve results. And with these questions, you'll be much more likely to get them. Now, let me be really crystal clear with all of this. When I'm talking about with this refund situation, this is applying specifically about done-for-you services. This is when you pay for an agency provider to literally do something for you, like build you a system, create deliverables, or implement something on your behalf. This is not about coaching agreements where you're getting guidance, strategy, and accountability because you are the one implementing. This is not about consulting where you're paying for expertise and advice. This is specifically about when someone promises to deliver a tangible result product for you by a specific date, takes your money, and then fails to deliver what was promised. Now, in a coaching relationship, the coach provides a framework, guidance, and accountability, but you do the work. Your results depend on your implementation. In a consulting relationship, you're paying for expertise and strategic direction. But again, implementation is typically on you. But in a done-for-you service, like what I paid 10K for a 25K deal, they are responsible for delivering specific tangible outcomes. They promise to build and implement systems for me. That's what I paid for, and that's what wasn't delivered. So when I talk about not making excuses for their failure to deliver, I'm specifically talking about when you've paid an agency or service provider to do something for you and they haven't done it. That's when your self-sabotage can kick in and maybe you think, maybe I should just stick it out. When in reality, you're paying for something you're not fucking receiving. So let's get into the video. Now, the first question you need to ask before investing a single dollar is, do they have a structured onboarding process? So here's what to look for. You are going to come in, you're going to get a drop form where you can input your business information, documentation, systems, clear next steps, and a roadmap for how you'll get started. Red flags are going to include vague responses like, hey, we'll figure it out as we go, or don't worry about it, we've got you covered. Those phrases should set off alarm bells immediately. Now, when I invested 10K into this service, like we had some of these things in place, but there was no contract, there was no scope of work, there was no clear roadmap of what was going to happen and when. And for these specific people that were going to help me, considering this was partially the role that they were filling, I was like, this is a bit weak. I've seen programs that I've gone into with this. So little bit of a red flag, but I'm going to trust it. I'm going to keep going. But the unfortunate thing was like, I later discovered that the lack of structure wasn't just about the onboarding. It was a preview of how the entire relationship would function. It was scattered. It was reactive. It was unorganized. In my business, the contrast is very clear. Every client gets a structured onboarding experience from day one. Within 24 hours of joining, they literally receive a welcome email with their portal login, first action steps, and initial assessments. They know exactly what to expect in weeks 1, 2, and 3. Nothing is left to chance here. Now, let me ask you, have you ever invested into something where the onboarding felt disorganized? And how did that impact the results that you ultimately got? That lack of structure at the beginning is usually a warning sign of what's to come, and it's one that I will not ignore again. Question number 2 is, can they show results for people similar to you? So question number 2 is fucking critical. Can they show results for people similar to you? I'm not talking about generic testimonials from some random industry that has nothing to do with what you're doing. I'm talking about results for people who are facing challenges like yours, who have businesses in a similar space, who are trying to achieve similar goals. Here's what to look for. Real case studies of clients who have overcome the specific challenges you're facing. People who started where you are and got to where you want to be. The red flags here come where there are generic testimonials with no specifics, vague results like increased revenue, or when they can't provide any examples that relate to your situation. Now, if you go on my socials, you'll see that we have a good 200 plus wins on my Instagram, as well as all of my client success stories as we started creating YouTube content for that. You'll also notice in my content that we literally talk about, hey, how this person did this, this person did this, this person did this. And that's because I want to show you guys that I'm actually a real guy. I'm actually a real person that gets real results and gives a fuck about their clients. Now, back in 2023, I did hire this agency owner. It was 2022. Back in 2022, I hired an agency owner to run my ads and marketing. And he was like, yeah, we're going to do ads, we're going to do marketing, we're going to do this. And I knew he was a newer guy, but I wanted to give him a chance. And during the sales process, I did the right thing. And I said, hey, do you have clients like me? And he showed me this business sales coach. And when I looked at the coach's socials, I'd looked at them like the day before or so. I saw pictures with the agency owner and thought, I know this is just your friend. But I talked myself through it anyway. He had 0 actual testimonials for someone in my position, but I still went for it. Massive mistake. And the moment we started working together, he said, oh, we can't run ads yet. After literally selling me on ads. And I'm a new business owner and I get it. I should have done my due diligence. I should have learned about these things, but I was new to this space, right? I trusted the expert and he could have told me. The thing is, he could have told me that in the sales process and set proper expectations, saying like, hey, we're not ready for ads yet. We need to do this, this, and this, and then we'll do ads. He didn't do that. And this is the key point here. Expectations need to be set up for success. When they're not, you're setting yourself up for disappointment and frustration. And in my service, I'm very, very, very clear about what clients can expect. We have clients that 1.5 to 5x in their first month with revenue. Do we have every client do that? No, but I can honestly say you're going to get there significantly faster than doing it yourself. But I set very clear expectations from day one about what's possible based on your specific situation. We literally have here in our training here an expectations video and how to win. So we have a whole thing here with action steps. It's very structured, so you know exactly what to do. These things need to be in place. A single question of like, hey, what's your onboarding like, could save you thousands of dollars and months of wasted time. Now, question 3 is, do they have proof of doing things themselves? This might seem pretty obvious, but you'd be shocked how many people miss it. So would you take fitness advice from somebody who's fat as fuck, who's never been fit? Would you take marriage advice from somebody who's never been married? Then why the fuck would you take business advice from somebody who hasn't applied what they're teaching? What you want to look for is a personal track record. Like, are they actually doing the things that they're teaching? Like me, I'm constantly doing identity work, constantly doing inner work, constantly emotionally regulating. I literally woke up this morning and I'm going through some stuff recently. I screamed into a pillow, and that's stuff that I teach every day with my clients. The red flags here are when they can't point to their own success using their methods, when they have excuses about why their situation is different. That is complete bullshit. So when I hired my first social media manager, we went through 250 applicants. Over 250. You're like, Luke, are you sure? I'm like, yes, I'm fucking sure. I prefer having a load of volume this way, because then that way I know that the likelihood that the talent is going to be good is going to be much higher than rather than just interviewing 1 or 2 people. Now, the one we chose had 70,000 followers on TikTok, and I believe it was 12,000 on Instagram. And she was already crushing it for herself. So when she came in after we'd done our interviews, it's like, oh, shock. She was really good at social media management. Plus, she could do website building that literally, like, people charge charge 3K for. She could do appointment setting. She could pull it all out of a hat in a few days, and she could just go and say, hey, leave it with me, I'll go figure it out. Leave it with me, I'll go figure it out. I got an absolute steal with this person because she wasn't just talking about social media. She was living it every single day. And in my business, I built a top 2% podcast in 5 months. I've been coaching for 4 years. I've been helping different levels of people through different levels of challenges. I understand at a deep level what clients are going through because I've lived it. I've had suicidal thoughts from 6 years old until 25. I've gone through depression. I've gone through anxiety. I've gone through having multiple layers of credit cards and debts. I've gone through being scared to pull the plug because of being connected with a partner and being worried about what they needed to think. I've gone through making poor investment decisions. I've been around the ringer with business coaches and different marketing strategies and different things. I've seen through it all. Like, honestly, would you honestly take fitness advice from somebody who's never been fit? Like, why do we overlook this in business? Like, think about it. If someone can't apply these principles in their own life, how the hell are they going to help you implement them? It's the same with you as a business owner. If you're telling your team to do certain things and you're not capable of doing it yourself, what's the success rate of that? What's the likelihood success rate of that? A little lower, right? Question 4. Are you their ideal client? Question 4 gets overlooked all the time, but it is a game changer. Are you actually their ideal client? So what you want to hear is a clear, specific yes, and here's why. You want them to be able to articulate exactly why someone at your stage in your industry with your specific challenges is who they serve best. The red flags are vague answers like, hey, we work with everyone, or all businesses can benefit from our approach. That is marketing speak for we'll take anybody's money. So in my 10K investment situation, it was stated, oh my gosh, after the fact, via Slack messages, that I wasn't an ideal client, which fundamentally shifted the entire nature of the agreement in the first place. If that had been made clear prior to me joining, I wouldn't have moved forward. I joined under the assumption that I was their ideal client, that my program was in scope, and that the deliverables were aligned with my needs. And it's not like he didn't ask me, where is your income at right now? What does this part of your business look like? I'm not trying to like have it out. I'll give you an example. So if somebody's coming on to be a marketing delivery specialist, they should be asking you marketing delivery specific questions. And so if they are assessing that, you're saying yes to it, and it's an agency, and then you're coming in and like there's nobody who's like in alignment with where you're at, guess what? Or investment. Bringing somebody on that you don't believe is a good fit and only expressing that after payment compromises the integrity of sale, compromises who you are as a person. In my business, I'm crystal fucking clear on who I am working with. I am working with business owners who want to scale to 100K a month. If you're not in that range, I'll tell you honestly, and I will refer you somebody somewhere elsewhere. I'd rather turn away money than bring on somebody that I can't serve at the highest level. Now, have you ever been the wrong fit client? How did that feel? It's probably frustrating as hell, because deep down, you know that they couldn't solve your specific problems if they didn't normally work with people like you. And that's why this question is so important. Now, question 5, what exactly am I receiving and by when? So this isn't about being difficult or demanding. It's about setting proper expectations on both sides so everyone knows what success looks like. You should not be getting communication in the middle of your engagement like, hey, I'll figure that out later, or hey, we're going to get that to you early next week. If you're being told, hey, it's going to be there early next week, you are, as a client, going to expect that to come early next week, right? So as you can see, in my situation, when I was told you'll get this early next week, and then I'm following up late next week and I'm saying, hey guys, just hoping everything's okay. Is there anything I can do to help you out? Because guess what? They set the expectations that I should receive something on a certain day. So then what, like, I'm not gonna misalign with that. I'm a very meticulous person. Like, if somebody's telling me, hey, I'll get that to you later, and doesn't give a clear deadline, you know what that tells me? In their personal life, they are telling themselves, I'll figure this out later. I'll get to that tomorrow. It's leaving up room for, I couldn't do this because of this, this, and this. I couldn't do this because of insert any excuse. So in my specific situation, specific features were promised by certain dates. When those dates came by and went by with no delivery and no communication, it's a massive breach of trust. And I was continually told things were almost ready or coming next week, but those deadlines kept shifting without explanation. And I'm going to be completely open and vulnerable with you guys here. I remember in my second year of coaching, I was running a business program called Grow Your Badass Business. My grandmother passed, and I still had a full stack stack of client calls that next day. So I took the full stack of one-to-one calls because that is what I'd shown up to do. And I took that extra couple of days off on the weekend. Then I took that and I could do that because I was very emotionally regulated. I could process the event of what happened, and then I could move things. And if not, and I can't move something, I will always tell people ahead of time. I don't leave them to guess up. And a very, very rare change that I can't make something, which has literally been once this entire year. I'm not going to explain why, just for personal reasons. But I had to move a call yesterday, and because of those said personal reasons, I let the person know ahead of time. I was like, hey, my energy is really not in a good place. I'm struggling to be present. I've got a lot of stuff on. And I really want to make sure that I give you the best opportunity possible. And she was like, it's okay. I'm feeling ill as well. So we moved the call to the next day. We reset. And I've given her an extra day of access to our program in response to us having that day reorganized. And that's because I have the space in my day and I have the integrity as a business owner to let people know when shit happens. It's a pretty easy solution, right? I remember reading the customer success manifesto recently, which is all about client delivery. And it mentioned how the easiest way to make a client not believe in themselves or to breach trust is to tell them something will take a certain amount of time and then it doesn't. So if I tell a client this will take you an hour and it takes longer, they lose self-trust. And then when you lose self-trust with yourself, you're then going to reinforce the belief of I'm not good enough through missed expectations. That's going to require consistent mindset work to overcome. It's not just a simple, okay, well, you just don't believe in yourself. When you create a hardcore belief of I'm not enough because you set up inappropriate expectations, that consistent mindset work is going to have to be reshifted, redone, etc. And it's the same with how professionals handle delays. Your clients should receive clear, proactive communication. An example of this would look like this, and you can take this and use this to however you want. This I learned through my trauma work with addiction, of when you need to apologize to a partner on when you've done something that you shouldn't have done, as well as all my experience working with entrepreneurs over the last 4 years. But it would say something like, hey, if you're an agency owner, maybe it's like, hey, we wanted to let you know ahead of time X happened, which could cause a delay on the deadline. So we've extended it to this day as a safety precaution, and we want to own up and take full responsibility. I'm sure this is frustrating, annoying, and can impact our relationship, which is why out of integrity, we wanted to communicate this with you ahead of time. Here's our game plan to resolve this so it never happens again. We don't want to be another agency or coach that's behind on deadlines while leaving you in the dark. We value transparency and honesty, as I'm sure you do with your clients, and we'll still get this project done and nail the other deadlines. And this could be just a quick 2-minute call, 30-second email, a quick 1-minute message. Being proactive shows that you give a fuck about your business. And how often have you accepted vague timelines from service providers? And how often does that come back to bite you in the ass? Setting clear expectations isn't just about good business, it's respect for everyone's time and energy. And notice I am talking more towards in this conversation about agency engagements. Coaching is a little different, where you are required to do things on your part as well, but coach is also required to hold you to a standard of checking in as well. If you're going with coaches who are like, you should hold yourself accountable, like, yeah, to a degree, but that's also why you're getting coaching. Like, fucking moronic advice. Anyhow, what's up, yo? So I literally took these questions from the framework from the video, and I thought this would be really valuable to you, as one of my clients literally just asked me for this. So we created this anti-refund client delivery framework, and this has all the questions of how you can actually create a really smooth onboarding and really great client experience. It's really for those people who just really are looking to help people be purpose-led, mission-led, as well as cash collect along the way by just getting really insane results. We have this whole document. If you want access to the document, all you've got to do is DM me the word on Instagram, client delivery. That's client delivery on Instagram, and I'm more than happy to get you over the training. Question 6, what is a communication cadence? This might sound simple, but holy shit, does it make a difference. You need to know exactly how and when you'll communicate with anyone you invest in. So what to look for? Scheduled check-ins that are on a calendar or have been clearly communicated in a onboarding engagement or clearly in a sales conversation. You need to know exactly how and when you'll communicate. You need to know clear response time expectations and a defined process for urgent issues. Red flags are going to be like, we'll touch base as needed, or just shoot me a message whenever. That is not a clear communication plan. That is a recipe for frustration and getting shit wrong. And let me actually show you something. Like, we just got this business owner. He is so sharp. And before we started working together, he was like struggling with like his time, his energy, procrastinating, staying up late, not keeping to his word as an agency owner. I even asked him, like, what would it be worth to you to have had all the transformation that you've had so far? And he's only like 6 or 7 weeks in. What do you feel is like the maximum you would have paid if you knew you were going to go like get all the transformation that you would have had right now?
That's a hard question. If I knew like this was established, like if I saw like shitload of testimonials and like you were the guy, I would pay upwards. Like, I don't know, if I was in that position where I was when I reached out to you, probably like 20, 30.
Okay.
20, 30.
You need to raise his prices.
David, like, I tell you this as well, like, when we jumped on the call, yeah, you said, I was like, okay, that's doable. Because if I don't do this, then I'm gonna, I don't know, I'll be stuck there forever. So that was like, okay, that's an investment that I'll put into myself, and it potentially will pay itself off within 6 months, which I already see the dividends. Like, I've never been this sharp before.
You want to know why he's had those results? It's because I'm fucking sharp. He is getting daily check-ins with me, daily end-of-day report. We have our one-to-one calls set up at the same time. We literally have our calls set for the next entire time working together. You know why? Because I operate at high speed. I hold a lot of people accountable. If you're doing shit sporadic all the time, no wonder you're in so much chaos. And in my 10K investment situation, which was a 25K, but we put 10K down, I was promised weekly one-to-one calls. What I actually got was sporadic calls only when I asked for them. They told me high touch, which to me, high touch delivery means 24 hours. And hey, if that was miscommunicated, fine. But there should have been expectations set ahead of time. I often waited 48 to 72 hours for responses to urgent questions. And granted, we're on a different time zone, but at the same time, I communicated literally 1 or 2 weeks into the engagement saying, hey, I'd love some more regular updates as I'm not super used to this agency workflow kind of situation. And nothing changed. Even worse, there was no communication about major shifts in the entire thing. So they told me when I was going to onboard that I was specifically going to work with just this one person, because just this one person was trained on my stuff. And then I was meant to keep doing stuff. And then it was seeded, oh, by the way, you're going to work with this person as well. And I'm like, okay, like you told me I was going to work with this person. Now you told me I'm going to work with this person. Then I was told you're going to meet this person on Tuesday. Okay, cool. Tuesday comes around. Nothing. I message on Friday, hey, I was meant to meet with so-and-so. What's going on? Then they told me, oh, by the way, so-and-so has been let go. We're working on your project over the weekend. I'm like, why have I only just been told this now? Like, if you had a team member that was responsible for a client and you let them go, like, who is filling that void? You need to let the client know. I get there's a little bit of like, hey, we don't want to cause disruption, but at least say, hey, this person's left, but this person's taken it on, so there should be no disruption to what's going on. Now, everybody's different. That's just my communication preference. I'm more actual high touch. So for example, in my business, my clients get one-to-one call weekly, plus they get 2 group clinics per week. They also get Slack support from Monday to Saturday with responses typically within 24 hours. And if it's longer, I clearly communicate why ahead of time. I never have replies after 72 hours unless there's been an announcement to set expectations. If you have a client unhappy with communication, it's very simple. All you've got to do is ask them, hey, what would you like as a communication option? Or, hey, what do you feel we could do better to support you? Or, hey, just want to make sure that we're aligned with expectations. What would better communication look like to you? Maybe you set a time for all client communications at 5 p.m. on specific days. Or better yet, maybe as you scale, you create a customer service representative to handle it. How much anxiety could you avoid with clear communication expectations? Think about it. Half the stress in business relationships comes from not knowing what's happening. And when you eliminate that uncertainty, everything else becomes so much easier. Now, question 7 is going to be, what happens if I'm not satisfied? So I think one thing that most people are afraid to ask, but it's absolutely essential, is what happens if I'm not satisfied? And this isn't about going into a relationship expecting to fail. It's about having clarity around what happens if things don't work out as planned. Now, what you want is ahead of time, clear refund policy, cancellation terms, and satisfaction guarantees in writing. Now, it's okay if you have a no cancellation clause or you have a no refund policy. That's fine. If that's how you run your service, it's absolutely fine. But you have to be upfront about that. You have to get an agreement signed. You have to get things in place. It's going to protect you and it's going to protect them. This is very needed for agreements within agency consulting work. A lot more work on your end, especially. In coaching agreements, it is a little different because there's more done with you stuff, and some of what you're doing is going to be custom and is going to be in the moment. But generally, a good coach is going to have a structure for how things get done. That's why we have a strategic plan of stepping forward with inner work, outer work, and strategic execution and performance accountability. And that performance accountability gives us clear feedback day to day on how our clients are doing and how we can help them win. And we can then put all of that into ChatGPT at the end of the week and give them an opportunity to reflect on their patterns even deeper, which allows them to get out of their own way quicker, which means that they make money faster. But in the same thing, red flags are going to be like, hey, we'll take care of you, or even people getting defensive when they ask about having an agreement in place. So in my investment recently, there was no refund policy or no cancellation clause ever presented. Yeah, sure, it was on their website, but it wasn't presented ahead of time. There was no signed scope of work. There was no terms and conditions documenting, nothing. That is a major liability from a legal and consumer protection standpoint. Without these transactions can fall under consumer fairness policies that protect buyers from misinterpretation, unclear results, and failure to deliver. And let's say, for whatever example, you do deliver a really good service. If you get an absolute asshole of a client and you didn't get an agreement in place and that person chargebacks without contact, without anything, they are likely going to win that chargeback because there was no agreement put in place, especially if you don't record any of the calls that you have. You fucked it then. Now, if you want an AI, like I'm not sure if you use AI, but if you want to use an AI for that, I can give you my Fathom referral link. Like I'm not like a Fathom affiliate thing. I don't get paid for it, but I'm just saying, like, if you want a link for AI recording, I'll put it in the description. But anyhow, same point. So the bottom line here is if they can't give you a clear answer about what happens if you're not satisfied, they probably don't have a plan for making sure that you are satisfied. And I'm just going to tell you how it is. Like, the best people that I've worked with are very clear on what's going to happen. They have a very clear roadmap. They have a very clear back end. Now, question A is, how consistent are they with their own business? This is a fucking power move. So this question reveals so much about somebody's character and staying power. Like, you want to see consistent positioning, messaging, and offers over time. Red flags include frequent pivots, constantly changing niches, or jumping from one business model to another. That is not necessarily innovation. That's somebody who doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. I literally had a guy in my DMs a while back, or not even a while back, like a few weeks back, pitch me to build a YouTube channel stuff for 3K. And I told him, hey dude, I'm just going to get a few more sales in place and then I'm going to jump on this. Not because I didn't have the cash, but honestly because I was like, I want to verify that this guy is going to be legit and I just want to have some breathing room if shit hits the fan. And when I followed up in a couple of weeks, oh, by the way, this is a quick caveat. When I say I will come back to you in 2 weeks, and when I say I'll go and think about it, or I'll go and come back in 24 hours, or I'll come back in a week, or I'll invest by this date if I don't sign a certain amount of people, I'd fucking mean it. If I'm one of those people that if I tell you I'm going to get back to you, like, it's going to be done. I'm not one of those flaky people that says something and doesn't do it, because it's a lack of integrity. That is a lack of self-trust, and that is a lack of self-belief. And I'm not having that. If you're one of those people listening to this video and you know you don't stick to your word, you're going to need to go and get support with that. Because if you don't, it is impacting everyone in your life. Maybe you even grew up with people who broke promises. Maybe you want kids one day, or maybe you want family, or maybe you want to be around people that are honest with you. The value of honesty cannot be overstated. I've got 2 stories to bring this in. When I was building out this offer, it was evolving, but when I started, I was doing my offer at, this is NeuroProductivity Elite. I had discounted the service because I wanted to get some insane results. So I said, same as like Amazon and a lot of big companies, when they get going, they want to make sure those that are focused on client delivery and product service, who actually give a fuck about getting results and having something insane for people. I got in the trenches and I took the business at a loss for the first 3 months. That meant like I had to start dipping into savings. It meant like dipping on a few credit cards, not dipping and not paying, but like diving into some 0% interest things. Like, it wasn't actually costing me really, but I just made it set up so that I would have the systems built out for my business. I literally did one-to-one calls, sometimes multiple times a week with my clients so that they could get the results that they had invested their time and energy into. And during that was hard. Coming up on month 3, I was like looking at my cash and I was like, not in the best place right now. This is getting a little uncomfortable. And I started like thinking about other options. And I had this guy reach out, a friend that's on track for 2 million this year, doing around 200K a month with another education company. And he offered me a closer role. And I started like in my head, I was like, yeah, I could do that. And I was like, let me get back to you in 72 hours to make a decision on this. I cycled through it and I was like, nah, this isn't for me. And I let him know, just like, hey, full transparency, bro. Like, I love you offering this, but this opportunity has been an opportunity for me to reflect and say, like, I'm all in with this, all in on my offer. Like, I'm not exiting. And he said just one thing. And this is why I love working with people that are honest. I love having people in my network that are honest. He just said, just don't give up when it gets hard. And I went through some really hard shit for a couple of weeks after that. And then I came through it. I increased some of my prices and I started scaling. And that's the difference between somebody who's committed to their vision versus somebody who jumps ship the moment things get challenging. So the same with this person. I went back to this guy and I went back to his Instagram and I was like, oh, he's not offering the YouTube stuff anymore. He's deleted all the posts. What's going on? And then I messaged him and I was like, hey bro, I'm pretty much ready to do the YouTube thing. How come stuff has changed on your profile? And he was like, oh, I'm not working on that offer anymore. But if you want to do it still, then let me know and we can do it. And I'm like, I'm not going to work with you, you flaky ass motherfucker. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, why would you work with somebody that is uncertain of what they do, if they're inconsistent with themselves? If you're having lapses or you consistently have this pattern where you drop off every few weeks, it's possibly because of your thoughts. That's possible because of your words and consequently your emotional regulation. And that's why you need to work on these things. Your word is everything in business. And when it bleeds into one area, it's going to bleed into everything else in your life. That's how lying gets made a habit. It's how you get out of integrity and you're not the person that you need to be. Your coach or services provider's ability to weather their own storms directly impacts how they're going to weather yours. We have some clients that go through some pretty intense stuff with what we work on. My clients aren't unfamiliar to having previously had, not as a current, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist, but having suicidal ideation, like the thoughts, right? Having depression, having some real down days, having some self-sabotage, really go in. And I've had people say like, hey bro, I want to put this engagement on pause for now. And I'm like, there's no fucking way we're doing. And I'll tell them, I'm like, and it'll be more compassionate, but I'm paraphrasing here. But it'll be like, hey bro, we're not going to do that. I fucking believe in you. You can do this. And I can see what you're doing right now is a self-sabotaging moment of avoidance and isolation so that you can try and figure this out by yourself, because that's who you were when you came to me. But you asked for help and you've got my help and you've invested in me to help you. So let me help you. We can do this. And people break through the other side. Like, we have a construction guy that he had 25 backlogged projects when he joined me. And each project is like, imagine this, is like 5 to 10K at least. He has some bigger projects. So, and a lot of construction work is like pay after the work done. Let's take an average price to sale at 10K and you have 25 projects backlogged. That's 250K in arrears. And he'd just done 180K in sales that month, but he had 240K already in arrears. And like, that level of stuff is a lot of pressure. It's a lot of shit to handle. It's stuff that you're in arrears of. You've got team members to pay for. You've got family to look after. You've got all sorts going on, maybe mortgages to pay. So it's your responsibility to hold your integrity and go into consistency and hold the space for helping your clients out. As well as if you are one of those people listening to it, like, I've been through it. I can hold it. I will put that responsibility on my shoulders. I will not fucking give up. Now, you got to grab the rope as well. Don't get me wrong. When I give you the rope and I'm saying like, hey, we can do this, you better fucking grab it because we're going. Like, if you don't grab the rope, that's on you. But it's the same thing. You need to ask, like, how consistent are people with their own business? Next question is, what do their systems look like from their side? It's pretty simple. Like, if someone is selling you on systems, processes, or client delivery, you should experience those things as their prospect or client. So what to look for? Like, clean, organized sales process, clear follow-up, seamless onboarding, consistent touch points. This is, if you're being sold on a sales process, that's what you would expect, right? And the same with, if you're looking to get support with self-sabotage or getting in your own way, you should be able to look at their content and be like, you know what, I see myself in them big time. It shouldn't just be like one of those profiles that just has like flashy pictures of like somebody is like looking good on like the front end. Like, no, like, teach me about what you're doing. Like, bring your message to the world. Like, stop flashing. Like, yeah, I get where that comes from as a driver driver of motivation, but like, yo, bring your shit to the world. Come and help people. You were looking to invest in a salesperson or like a sales agency. Red flag might be like messy sales process, poor follow-up, disorganization in their own client journey. So if you're looking to get help with a sales agent, is their sales process good? Are you getting the reminders? Are you getting the emails? They can't sell to you effectively. How are they going to teach you how to sell? So we have a construction client, bless his heart, like I said earlier, came on board with us, 180K in sales, 240K in outgoings, because he was abandoning himself in the sales process and people pleasing. And then also promising deadlines without setting deadlines in place. You know how many projects he's completed since we started working together? 16. And each of those projects is at least 10K. There's at least 5 to 10K. And with 25 backlog projects, that's a fair chunk of change. So the way somebody treats you during the sales process is a preview of how they'll treat you as a client. It's that simple. If their systems are disorganized, confusing, or inconsistent when they're trying to get your money, imagine how they'll be once they have your money. And like, this is not to say don't ever invest in somebody. That's fucking dumb. That's even worse. But it's the same thing. Like when you come across somebody's marketing, it should feel like this person is speaking to me. It should feel like this person cares about me. They understand my problems. They are going through, have gone through, are working on the things that I'm working on. Like I'm very upfront that like I've worked through my addiction. I still have self-sabotaging thoughts and I talk through them live as I'm going through stuff. I'm like, yo, like we don't just eliminate it. We're going to teach you how to eliminate it. Like we can eliminate it by teaching you how, but it's not going to be gone forever. Like we've got to teach you how to do it. And then number 10 is how do they handle challenges? Like the final question, number 10 might be the most important. How do they handle challenges? Everyone can be charming when things are going well. True test of character is what happens when shit hits the fan. So what you want to look for like is grace under pressure, problem solving approach, taking responsibility rather than making excuses. Red flags are blaming you, defensiveness, ghosting, or making it your problem when things go wrong. So when things weren't going well with my 10K investment, I got excuses instead of solution. Work was even fucking paused without my consent based on a misinterpretation of my message. A message where I said, hey, I just wanted your lens on a certain perspective that I was having on a certain idea, not a, hey, let's completely pivot business and do everything differently. It was like an idea I had, and that was interpreted as me being uncertain and resulted in work being paused without telling me. I never requested a pause. I simply wanted feedback on an idea, which meant the work pause was only, and by the way, the pause wouldn't have been an absolute game changer had I been fucking communicated. Like, hey, Luke, I'm noticing you say this. Hey, do we need to pause the project or should we keep going? Or, hey, like you mentioned this, we want to make sure that we're still in alignment. Just want to make sure you're all good for us keep building this thing. Just ask fucking questions. Like you need to get into the habit of asking questions because the work pause was only mentioned after the fact when I reached out for an update because everything was behind schedule. And you need to get in a habit of asking questions when you're uncertain. Don't read into things. Don't assume. Get clear. Like if a client reaches out to you unhappy, instead of thinking, oh, they're a shitty client, say something like, hey, just for clarity, I want to make sure this is resolved. Can you explain what's not working for you so I can better understand? Like if you ask questions and seek clarity and are like coming from a place of love and are like, hey, I want to help you, you show that you're on their side. You build trust and a better relationship. It's not an us versus you. It's an us in this together, building together. Too many business relationships break down because people start making assumptions instead of asking questions. Simple clarity questions can solve so many problems before they explode. And I've had clients tell me, hey bro, this shit is really hard. I want to give up. And I'm like, no, we fucking can't. We're not doing that. Because I'm fucking in the trenches with you. I'm in the shit with you. It's not me versus you. We're doing this together. What my clients need in that moment isn't a therapist. They need a leader who's not going to give up on them. And that's a responsibility I get to carry. I'm not going to let you go into avoidance or your bullshit coping mechanisms. And who do you actually want in your corner when things get tough? Someone who challenges you? Someone who lets your excuses get by? Or someone who makes excuses and disappears? Or someone who steps up? Someone who takes responsibility? Someone who fights alongside you? The way someone handles challenges lets you know about who they really are. Now, lastly, I want to talk about something really important. The self-sabotage that happens when you know something isn't right for you. You've asked these questions, but you try to talk yourself into stay in it anyway. And when I realized things weren't going well with my investment, that voice in my head immediately kicked in. Like, you made this decision, just deal with it. Don't be a shitty client. Go and be the person that you would expect to have and that you would want to have. Like, you don't want to look like a failure. What will people think if you ask for a refund? And it gets tricky because sometimes it disguises itself as responsibility of like, I made a commitment, so I should stick with it no matter what. And I wholeheartedly believe in that. But there's a massive difference between honoring commitments and staying in a bad situation that's draining your resources. The real difference is understanding the type of relationship you're in. In a coaching relationship, there's a lot of done with you work. You absolutely need to show up. You absolutely need to do the work. You absolutely need to take responsibility for your part of the process. But in a done for you service where you're paying someone to deliver specific results or deliverables, it's different. It's not on you to lead the relationship for communication. It's not on you to lead and provide extra information if they haven't asked for it. If they haven't asked for it, they're a fucking shitty service provider because they clearly haven't worked with enough people to help you. You still need to provide information and feedback for sure, but ultimately they need to deliver what they promise. The trap happens when you start taking responsibility for their failure to deliver, when you make excuses for them, when you tell yourself, maybe I'm just expecting too much, or maybe this is normal in the industry. No, that's fucking bullshit. I was speaking to a guy the other day at dinner who thought that he was a shitty business owner because he was given a course and he couldn't make sense of it, and there had been some other people that had made sense of it. And I was like, bro, talk me through this. And he was like, he showed me this, and I was like, bro, just because this is like a course, like it doesn't mean that you're going to succeed in a course. There is such a thing as a poorly constructed course. Of course there is. And this was about another high level person in the industry as well. He's known for being very meticulous in training and fitness building and nutrition. And he did the same approach with his course. And from what I've heard is that it was overwhelming. It was too much. There was not enough support. It was too much on the course. And what helped me really realize and break through this pattern was having some really solid people in my network, people that I could go to, high level people. And I said to them like, hey, look, I don't want to be confirmation bias here. Like, I don't want you guys to side with me. I want to make sure this stuff is fair. And I admit I decided to work with them and did my best things to do things right. But here's how stuff has happened. I showed them messages and stuff. Like, what do you guys think? And they were crystal clear. If stuff doesn't get delivered, you're not at fault. You paid for a service and it wasn't provided. And I thought about it like this. Like, if a plumber gets called out to fix an emergency pipe problem and they say, yeah, we're going to fix this within 24 hours. And then 3 days later, they haven't fixed it. You've now got fucking water all over your house. That's not acceptable. It's the same with client delivery or sales support. If it directly impacts your revenue or business operations, you can't just sit back and accept poor delivery. I ask people to hold me to a high standard. I ask my clients to feedback me. I'm not scared to ask people for feedback. My first mentor, amazing, changed lives. He was too arrogant, too egotistical to ask his students for feedback. And that's why he hadn't done an iteration in his main course for like a whole year. I'm on literally like my 6th iteration right now because I give a fuck about my client result. And let me break it down to like the shifts that you actually need to make a collective change on all of this. This allowed me to actually not only get the refund, but also become more confident in future decisions. First, it's moving from I can't afford to lose this money to I can't afford to waste my time. This was huge for me. When I first realized things weren't working out, I kept thinking about the 10K. But the real cost wasn't just the money. It was the time, the energy, opportunity cost. Like 10K could have gone into something else. It could have gone into a better service provider. It could have gone into ads. Every week I stayed in a bad situation was another week I wasn't making progress towards my goals and holding not a great energy for growth. Second, moving from I don't want to make waves to I deserve what I paid for. This is about valuing yourself enough to expect delivery on promises. It's not about being an asshole or making unreasonable demands. It's about having enough self-respect to say, hey, I paid for this and I expect to receive the services as described. And if you're unsure thinking, I should be able to know what my clients are thinking, I should be a better coach or I should be a better survivor, you're shoulding all over yourself. That's fortune telling, one of the cognitive distortions that I teach within my frameworks. And these thoughts are designed to keep you safe, and it's your current reality of not being the person you know you can be yet. But once you change those thoughts and start acting like a CEO gives a shit and focuses on client delivery, the right people welcome tough questions. Anyone who gets defensive when you ask for specifics probably wasn't the right fit for you. So trust your gut, but verify with data. Now, I want to hear from you. What is the worst investment you've made in your business? Drop in the comments below. I read every comment and I'm genuinely curious about your experiences. If you found value in these 10 questions and you want to see what it's like to work with somebody that actually lives in integrity, actually gives a fuck about people, who actually has real results and will give you free information, but amazing education for free, all you gotta do is join the link below and join my Get Out of Your Own Way community. We now have like a whole challenge together. We have a whole challenge within my community. We talked about integrity today, on how to come back into integrity, how to actually honor your boundaries and become one of these people that doesn't fuck people over. And then we have a whole classroom 9-day challenge, etc. here, and a whole 9-day challenge to get out of your own way, as well as how to understand the cognitive distortions that I talked about briefly, and yeah, how to really go and crush it. So if you're not in my community already, like, what are we doing here? Get in the community. And with that said, we appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed the honesty, trials and tribulations of my life, and can transmute that into not making the same mistakes yourself. And we'll see you very soon. Peace and love.